Okay, Yoko, so here's the video on Lesson in C by Diabelli. We're going to go through a few articulation, fingering, and other phrasing matters in this piece. So the first thing I'd like us to do is look at some fingering suggestions. Let's start with the right hand. It's all straightforward here. I don't think you should be changing any of the fingering. Now let's go to the second line. Look over here how I've marked 2/3. You could use either finger 2 or finger 3. If you're playing from here, okay, and I will show you on the piano now. So if you're playing from bar 5, you see I used finger 2 on this D, finger 2 changing to the 4, but you could also use finger 3, is absolutely fine. So let's go from bar 5 again. So you could go 3, 4, yeah? 3, 4, or 2, 4. Personally, I prefer the 3, 4, but it's up to you. This is quite important. Now, the fingering in your book says 1, 3. Try 1, 4. I'll show you. So if I'm playing from here, from the bar before, I'll use 3 on the first D. I'll go slowly. And then I'm using 1, 4, and then resolving on the C with 3. So I'm going with the 4 at the top. If I were to do the 3 at the top, it would be like this. This involves more moving, yeah? Whereas if you leave the 4, observe what's happening. The 4 is already there and you're just putting the thumb underneath. Da, 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 da. I prefer that, but I leave it to you. This line remains the same in terms of fingering. This line, again, those 2 bars, you see what fingering you prefer to do. Of course, you've got the first 2 systems repeating here, so it's the same music. I don't have any fingering suggestions here. Just be careful, finger 3 here, okay, on this B. That's okay. And then this is the same as the first line. Here, yes, I do agree. Just a little note about the last E and C over here. You have, if I'm going to play from here, so that would be, and then you have 1, 5, 1, 5. Yeah, dropping the wrist maybe on the first one and lifting on the second one. Now, I wouldn't mind it if you did 5, 4. You see how dum bum. I like using this fingering, but again, it has to do with how big the hand is and how comfortable you feel. So what I'm saying is that you could use at the end this fingering, da, 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 and then 5, 4. Or da 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 5, 5. Absolutely fine. Now let's look at the left hand. We go from the beginning now. Again, 5, 3 / 5, 2. So you can use either. You have here, if we go from the beginning, 5, 2. I think this is good fingering. Now for the second bar, you could use again 5, 2. Yeah, 5, 2, but then I would change to 5, 3. Okay, dum, bum, bum. So you'd go bar 1, and then you start 2, 3. Or you could have the 5, 3 from the start in bar 2. So it would be, and then you're sliding down here. So bar 1, bar 2. I really don't mind what you do. For me, both fingerings are good. Now, if we go to bar 3, you see here, I've crossed out this one. I don't really like this one here. 1, 1. I think 1, 2, 1, 3 works better, because this is what it looks like, 1, 2, 1, 3. If you go like this. So really, the only thing you need to do is tuck the thumb underneath. And you see how the wrist is relaxed. And I'm thinking in pairs. Dum, bum, bum, bum. A to G is a pair, F to E is a pair. And then that's okay. Second system, absolutely fine. And then these two systems are a repetition. Nothing to say here, just make sure you start G and B with 5-3 there. Yeah, don't start with 4-2. I don't think that works. Start with 5-3. Yeah, and as legato as possible. We'll talk about that at another video. Second system, okay. Third system, yeah, absolutely fine. I don't think there's anything else here. Yes, be careful here, actually. Be careful here. You have 5-2 on the C and E. 5-2 like at the beginning. And then your score says 3-1 on this C and E. So it looks like this. So that 3 has to go here. It's not ideal, but it's absolutely fine if you make sure that you lift that D sharp sooner than the C. Da. You see? So you go like this. And then it takes over. Okay, and then obviously you have to be quite quick with moving from there, and then that's okay. Now let's talk quickly, that's the fingering. Let's talk quickly about these situations where you have a 2-note slur. It really is imperative that your wrist goes down on the first note and up on the second. We'll work on that more. It's nothing too extravagant, and notice how the fingers stay very close to the keys. You don't really lift, you don't go like this. We don't go like this. They are on the keys, the fingers, and they play from the keys, down, up. When you have your staccato notes, notice how, again, from the surface of the keys, we don't hit the keys like that. From the surface, but with lightness. Notice how the wrist is relaxed. Not too much movement, but relaxed. The same happens to the left hand. You see, you've got much more movement in the left hand, staccato movement in the left hand. So make sure you're very close to the keys constantly. Yeah? And then again, 2-note slur, down, up, really close connection with the keys. We don't want to be doing this. Yeah? From the surface of the keys. The fingers are just hanging from the hand like that, and they're closely connected with the keys. Careful, as we said here in the legato. I'll make another video for you on technique for this, because there's something else I need us to work on. And finally, about phrasing, it's really very important that you listen very carefully to the notes ascending and the notes descending. And if you apply the basic phrasing rule of ascending getting louder and descending getting softer, it will work, but very well, as it almost always does. But of course, there are cases where here you have a descending scale, but you have to do a crescendo. And that's perfectly normal, of course, and expected in a situation like this. This piece has to be played very lightly throughout. We don't want heavy arms, heavy hands, heavy fingers. We want a really light sound, and light means short and soft. Of course, you've got legato to play as well, and that has to be played very lyrically. For example, in your left hand here, and all those legato sounds here, notes there. Bum, bum, yeah. So we want a very nice legato, not nice and smooth legato, so that we have a clear difference between the legato and the staccato. And finally, when you see forte, for example, here, the end of the piece, and here, the sound should still be round, controlled, and beautiful. Forte does not mean loud, really. It means full. Of course, there is loudness involved in forte, but it should never sound forced. And you have, of course, your forte there as well. And it goes without saying that this forte here is a different sound to this forte here. We have a fuller sound there. It's actually louder here, a louder forte here than here. But we can talk about dynamic treatment in another video. Okay, happy practicing.